Hey folks, Mark here, RC Crawling and Aviation Adventures, working on the aviation side of my channel right now. I think this is video 4, the title will say for sure, of my little do-it-yourself scratch build project of what I'm attempting to make a scale micro J3 Cub, entirely out of balsa, with some basswood airframe going on. And yeah, so the first new thing is I've got the wings colored in, how they're gonna look now. The airplane, the horizontal stabilizer wings are, approximately the color that they're gonna be. They're approximately J3 Cub yellow, not quite. All right, so let's come in closer and see what we got going on here at this time. Now, I'll put in simulated little marks there to make it show that this is gonna be glass. Yep, just like on the J3 Cub, those two windows will be clear glass. And it's a 10.2 millimeter wing, 10.2 millimeter distance from leading edge of the wing to the trailing edge, which is 4 inches. And I'm going to compare my specs to the S2 and the J3 maximum models in a second. But first we'll look at what's new. One thing I wanted to really emphasize is here's my elevator slash stabilizer right here, as you can see. Focusing, yeah, right there. Now you can see that I've got an outline here and then an inner part here. Well, the reason for this is to make sure I get things done right, I got to be able to be flexible as I'm building to the size that these components are going to be, because the horizontal stabilizer has to be the right size to go with the rudder, and vice versa. And the empennage of the vertical stabilizer and horizontal stabilizer have to fit the fuselage dimensions and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So anyway, so this is the starting point. So when I cut out, when I use this as a pattern, which I'll soon be starting to do, when I use this as a pattern to cut out a piece exactly this size and shape out of very, very, very thin balsa, well, I'm going to cut out at this outer line first. And I know that this horizontal stabilizer is a bit big. I believe it is a bit big for the rudder, etc., and for the fuse. But that's what I want, because I can trim down. You can see I got this outline here. Well, I can also draw an outline on the inside. I can keep drawing outlines on the inside until I can make it as small as I want. And what I'm going to do is cut it out this size, though. What I'm actually going to do, let me back up, reverse my last statement. I'm going to actually cut this out, the size you see here, to this outer outline. I'm going to cut this out, which I know will be oversized with the right shape. And then, after I've got it actually cut out on balsa, and I've got the rudder also actually cut out on balsa, well, then I can put the two together and see if this one needs to be the size it is or smaller, right? That's easy enough. So I wanted to mention that, and everything. If the rudder size turns out to be bigger, I'm gonna build the fuse first. And if my dimensions here for the rudder and vertical stabilizer turn out to be too small, after the fuse is built, I can adjust that, make it larger by just drawing new outlines outside of this until it's the right size but the same shape. So it's all, it's all flexible and a work in progress. Okay, so I just want to mention that about starting off with my components being large, and then I can whittle them down just to the right size as I go. Let's see what else. Okay, so the next thing is, here's a picture of what the bottom of the fuse will look like, just like a UMX model, underside with the holes for ventilation and making it lighter. And then the top would be the same as this, but without the holes. And then this part here is where the battery compartment and stuff is going to go, and we can see that here. Here's our battery representation here, battery, all right? And so what you see here, this rectangle here is going to be just what it's like under the fuse from there to there. And up in this compartment will be the battery. First of all, let's back up a little bit. So, pilot and passenger seating, center screen. All right, so we're going to have a piece of balsa flat that goes like this. And mounted on that, to the top of that, will be pilot and passenger seating. And also mounted to the top of that will be an instrument panel. There's the panel there, and that's the support. Instrument panel here with instruments on it, not real instruments, but I'll be doing like what Horizon Hobby does. They basically get a good drawing of an instrument panel, and then I'll. Can I start over? I'll get a picture of an instrument panel and then just photocopy it and shrink it down, and then print it out on paper and glue it on to this instrument panel dealio waiting there. Okay, so you got this piece of wood, and it's mounted in the plane. You don't move it, and it's got the seats installed, got the instrument panel installed, and when you open up the battery compartment hatch, and this is going to be the battery compartment here, among other things. This is the access to the interior of the plane right here. Well, when you go inside, open the hatch for this here and go up in the plane, you'll see the receiver up forward here mounted. You'll see the battery here held on with straps. You'll see the ESC, and the battery will plug into the ESC. You'll see your rudder and elevator servos back here. And yes. So that's the deal on that. Yeah, so we are so close to starting to actually build this. I mean, really, really, really close. All right, now some interesting things I thought I'd point out. Okay, let's look at the length of the model. The length of my scratch build model is 16 3/4 inches, which is 425 millimeters. So my J3 model is going to have a 425 millimeter length fuse. Now, the S2, by comparison, which I have, it has a 450 millimeter length, excuse me, up here. Let me start over. Okay, so my model is going to have a 425 millimeter length fuse, okay? The J3 UMX model has a 430 millimeter length fuse, so my model is going to be 5 millimeters less in length on the fuselage, 5 millimeters less than the J3 fuselage. So my fuselage is going to be 5 millimeters shorter than the J3 fuselage, right? And then, let's see, the length on the S2, by comparison, is 381 millimeters, and mine will be 425. So my model will be 5 millimeters less fuselage length than the J3, and it will be quite a bit longer than the S2 at 381 compared to 425, which is what, 9, I don't know. I don't want to do the math in my head. Okay, so there you go. So that's the fuse. My fuse is longer than the S2 UMX fuselage, slightly, and slightly shorter than the UMX J3 fuse. Okay, wingspan. My model is going to have the same wingspan as the S2, which is 24 inches, aka 415 millimeters. Yes. And by the way, the J3 UMX has a fair amount wider wingspan, 2.5 inches wider. J3 wingspan is 26.4 millimeters. And the S2 and my model are going to be 415 millimeters. All right, let's see what else. Width. Okay, the wing width, meaning from the leading edge to the trailing edge. The measurement on from the leading edge of the wing to the trailing edge is 3 7/8 inches. I didn't get that in grams. The distance from the trailing edge to the distance from the leading edge to the trailing edge of my J3 Cub wing is going to be 4 inches. So the amount of wing forward to aft is going to be 1/8 of an inch more than on the UMX S2. And I don't know what that measurement is on the J3. All right, turn the light on. Turn it back off. Let's see, anything else? Oh, I mentioned before, I think that I was going to use UMX J3 or Timber electronics, including the motor and ESC and stuff, or possibly a brushless ESC motor setup separate. But I realized that I want this plane. I want more power for this plane, and I can put whatever power I want into it. So I'm gonna actually go not with the UMX motor and ESC, because that's not gonna be as much power as I want. I want the model to be a little bit overpowered, and in that way I can be quite ensured that it will never be underpowered. So therefore, that's what I'm going to do. So when I get it finished, and I know the size and weight of it finished, well, then I'm going to see how big of a, without overdoing it, I'm going to see how big of a setup I can put in there. ESC, battery, motor, that'll give us plenty of power, plenty of power. So we'll do that. So it's going to be definitely more powerful than a UMX model for sure. It's just a matter of how much more powerful. Okay, what else? Yeah, I think that is the latest. I think that's all on the updates. Oh, yeah, I think I've mentioned everything now. So the next video will be, let's see. The next video will be, I will have traced the next video will be, I'll go ahead and trace the outline of the wing on camera onto the balsa that's going to be used for it, and then I'll go ahead and cut it on camera and sand it and have it, you know, have a start to being finished. I'll show that, and then I'll have all the parts traced onto balsa, and then I'll ready. And then on camera, I'll cut the fuselage, the 4 fuselage pieces, left, right, top, and bottom. Show that. Show sanding and finishing those and getting them nice and clean and ready for assembly. Same thing. I'll show cutting this at first oversized and then trimming it down until I get the right size to go with the vertical stabilizer and the fuse. Yeah, I'll show that. Yeah, and cutting out the windows on the side fuselage pieces. Yeah, and that'll be it for that video, which will be video number 5, I think. Then after that, I will have built. After that, we'll I don't know. After that, we'll build the wing. We'll fully assemble and build the wing in the next video after that, and we'll fully assemble and build the fuselage. And I will also at some point build the cowling, and we'll do the first trial